My name is Reese Rohrig. I'm a senior mechanical engineering student, and
I'm Morgan Cook, and I am also a senior mechanical engineering student.
Basically, a Japanese style toy, and so it has a cup on the bottom, 2 cups on the side, and then a spike on the top. And so you try to like jerk the ball around to get it on that spike or in the cups, and it's attached to a string, and it's actually very challenging to use. Morgan's much better at it than I am.
So how did you guys decide on the projects that you're going to be doing for the senior design class?
We looked at all different projects, and we kind of pulled together our expertise, which we had a lot of SolidWorks expertise and prototyping and that kind of stuff, and we wanted to have a solid prototype at the end. So kind of going through deliverables and expertise required, we kind of narrowed it down, and I think this was our third or fourth choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was one of our top choices, so it worked out pretty good.
And who's the sponsor for y'all's project?
So we work with the Renew Robotics Lab in the mechanical engineering department, and so they do work on robotic rehabilitation for stroke patients, and so they're currently working on a robotic exoskeleton that can either assist with motion or resist and help build muscle with motion. And so they're really at the cutting edge of human anatomy and biotics and engineering.
Awesome. So what aspect of the project y'all are doing right now is the most challenging, would you say?
I'd say the biggest challenge is jumping over the hurdle of knowledge. We're working a lot with motion capture and IMU sensors and that kind of stuff, which we hadn't really been exposed to in our previous classes or internship experiences or anything like that. So really learning how to ask the correct questions.
So you mentioned that there's your classes haven't totally prepared you for this project, but what classes have prepared you for this project?
I think definitely Jay, since it's the biggest predecessor for this, is a big proponent of that, is learning how to go through that design process and kind of the different deliverables there.
So when there's something new for you guys to learn, some new software or some new sensor that you guys have to figure out in order to do the project, where do you guys go first?
We really rely heavily on the technical expertise of our TA for the class, the people that work in the Renew Lab.
And the faculty advisor.
Yeah, our faculty advisor, super great, Dr. Sentes. He's in the aerospace department, and he works with humanoid robots, so he's really, really knowledgeable on all things sensor and motion capture and that kind of stuff. So other than that, you just ask people until somebody knows the answer.
Yeah, because even if you go to one person and oh, I have a graduate student who's specializing in this, and so you can go talk to them, and they might have more expertise. So once you start asking around, it kind of leads you down a route to find someone who actually does have a lot of knowledge on that sensor method.
So how do you guys divide up your work between the four of you?
We know each other's kind of expertises or areas of what we like to work on. One of our teammates, Tucker, really likes to CAD things. So it's if we have something up for grab for CAD, he pretty much always volunteers for it. And,
yeah, he's really into that. And it's nice with Kay, for this class that you get to pick your own project group. So we had all mostly worked together before, so we kind of know everyone's style in projects.
Yeah, and we were careful to get people that really like to do the hands-on technical stuff, and people that don't mind doing reports and emails and keep you able with the administrative stuff. And so it's kind of good to have a nice mix there.
So could each of you tell me what's your most interesting part of the project that you're going through?
I think the motion capture studio is
it's so cool. Yesterday we got trained on how to actually use this motion capture studio, and so it was really, really interesting because they have this really high-tech equipment, and they have 12 cameras in this capture studio that are about $5,000 each. So it's a really expensive setup, and so it's really cool seeing how they calibrate all these cameras for the VR that they're doing, and with their robot in it, which they can use for dynamic task learning. So that's been the most interesting part, is kind of learning something new, because I didn't know anything about motion sensors before this.
Yeah, I had no idea, and so it's we'll just go in on a Friday morning and kind of jerk a ball of motion sensors around, and then we're able to now process and post-process that data, and so it's that's really cool to me.
So you're mentioning the success rate with actually flipping around the ball. Does that end up just kind of being annoying or just or kind of repetitive when you guys are doing it?
Yeah, so it's more for fun for us. It doesn't really have an impact on our thing, but I definitely get annoyed when I don't make it. But kind of the whole idea is that a kendama is really difficult to use, and like it's a really difficult dynamic task. And so that's understanding how people like learn such like an intricate task is like really important for the lab. So I think like having a kind of an annoying like low success rate starting out is like kind of important to our project.
Has anything like funny or interesting happened that just you want to talk about?
I had like gone to Smoothie King for $5 Friday, and so I was like had my smoothie and like the thing while I was like playing with our setup, and the motion capture kept on tracking my smoothie, like the cup, the reflections off of it instead of the bowl. And we didn't really realize what was going on until afterwards, so it kind of messed up our data with my smoothie.
That's funny.
That is funny.
About how much of your workload is for this class?
Yeah, I think the biggest time commitment is really just like the prints we do, because since we're printing off so many spheres with holes in them, it needs a lot of like rafts and supports, and so some of the prints we do take up to like 3 hours.
And then we spent like another hour getting the supports out of it.
Yeah.
So it's definitely the modeling portion takes up most of the time.
So do you guys end up spending like most of your work time inside of Invention Works?
Yeah, essentially whenever we meet, it's mostly in Invention Works, and sometimes we meet off campus, but it's like small like, presentation like things, but I would say like most of like the actual like work and the technical stuff we do here.
So earlier you guys mentioned sponsor meetings on Fridays. What does a usual sponsor meeting look like?
We'll talk with Hobe about kind of what we've accomplished this week and like what they want from us next week. And so kind of usually every Friday we have like a new set of deliverables that we have to like work on for the next week and present to them. So that's been like a good setup for us.